Day 114 of getting my shit together.
Day 114 started off with a little takeout breakfast at Shelby's. Now, this might be a controversial topic.
I feel like this life has chosen me.
In fact, I'm even expecting this to have a little bit of backlash, but this is what we did today, so I wanted you guys to see. So after shooting the BB gun yesterday, Shelby and Wags decided it was time for us to graduate.
I'm scared.
Now, Wags is the professional, so obviously we did a lot of training and learning in the house before we made our way to the shooting range. Paul and I had never shot a gun before, and hunting and gun ranges are quite popular in Detroit. Like I said, I know this is a controversial topic, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience for the two of us being in Detroit, so we decided, why not? Let's do it. We had lots of safety training beforehand, as well as lots of explanations from Wags, and he was there with us the entire time, standing right behind us. And I'm not gonna lie, it was really scary at first, but there's a lot of safety precautions that go into this. Waivers and background checks, all before you ever pick up a gun. So despite being very nervous, Paul and I both felt very safe. And obviously having an instructor that knew what he was doing was very, very helpful, and we weren't nervous at all because he was standing there with his hand on our shoulder just in case we needed him. I think the shock on my face says it all. And Paul learned a lot too. He actually learned how to load the gun. That was a little bit much for me. I was a little bit scared. And we got a bunch of little targets that we could practice on. As time went on, we got a little bit more confident and we were actually hitting the right spot. I have to say, though, it's still very nerve-wracking. We were very respectful because we were still very scared. And I think that's important, that if you are going to go shoot guns or anything like this, you do have to be respectful and be a little bit scared of it as well, just to make sure you're always paying attention and actually never letting your guard down. And Paul was actually really good. He's oddly good at clay pigeon shooting, so this wasn't too hard for him.
So close.
And Shelby and I gave it our best go, but we were here for about an hour or so. And I have to say, after this was all said and done, you definitely have an adrenaline dip. We were super, super high and our adrenaline was flowing, and then we got into the back of the car and we were absolutely exhausted because our adrenaline dipped fully. I think the most important thing that I took from today was that guns are to be respected. At the end of the day, you must respect them and be a little bit scared of them, whether you're comfortable with them or not. And while this is probably the first and last time I'll ever do this, I have a newfound respect for officers that have to carry guns and the nerves they must feel every second of every day. I genuinely couldn't imagine having that responsibility. Anyways, after the gun range, we showered and it was pretty much time to go home. So Shelby and Wags drove us through Detroit, and Paul was insistent that he sees where Eminem grew up. So yes, can you believe it? We drove through 8 Mile.
You gotta get underneath it. Ready? Hold on.
Paul was so happy to get a picture, but Shelby couldn't stop laughing at how much we were tourists.
He's gonna tell his friends. He's shot guns and he saw where Eminem was.
We also even took Paul to an automatic car wash because he had never seen one before. Then we drove through a bit of Detroit and we stretched our legs over in the water. Now, I did not realize how close we were to Canada. Am I that stupid?
Oh, Canada.
It feels like you could throw a rock and you'd be in another country. We also took a peek at some Ford cars because obviously Detroit is known for all the cars that they built there, and I really love the old-fashioned ones. And then it was time for them to drop us off at the airport, and it was so sad. It was a whirlwind of a trip, and we're off to go home and get our shit together.